Good evening, Miss Tricia.
Good evening, scientific skeptic. How are you, sir?
I am. I've been better, but hopefully I got the case off just to sort of situate what the conversation is about, why I'm concerned, why I'm being preemptive, and why I want this on the record in advance because of the situation, because of what I have seen him do in the past. And I understand that he has been trying to build a case on me for 18 months. And now he has a private investigator and an attorney, um, you know, and they know my name. So they've already doxed me. They probably run a background check. After the smear campaign, um, this is totally inappropriate. This is where, YouTube needs to get involved and other self-respecting YouTube true crime and law enforcement officers need to, I would be very happy if they would weigh in on this behavior. I know that they have weighed in the past, whether explicitly or implicitly. I know that Mike King came in to thank both you and I when we were discussing this conversation and discussing Chris McDonough in the interview room. That was not a coincidence.
I don't believe it was.
So
And
on that note, then please tell me what are you thinking? What are your
well,
thoughts?
here's what I'm thinking. I've been in the public life since 1979. Okay, and I've had enough crazy people threaten to kill me, want to kill me, attempt to kill me. I even had to testify in a federal stalking case from a guy who wanted it was making it look like he was coming to kill me. Um, and the thing is, Skep, you never know what anybody's going to do. And that's why you should always be careful. When No Thanks, the night that I did my apology video, when No Thanks went on the air and told everybody to find, and I'm paraphrasing, basically he said, find out everything you can on this woman. The first thing I did was make a police report, you know?
And for the record, this really accelerated when Tricia invited me on Websleuths to discuss the Jamie Wilson and the Nomadic
Right.
Trek stuff with her, and because of the fact that little insignificant scientific skeptic went on a reputable, as Ickmel called you, the OG of true crime,
Oh, thank you.
because I went on your platform and because we talked about it together,
Hmm.
that's when the fireworks started. He
Yeah,
threatened to sue you. He threatened to sue me. He
right.
then wrote you another message that I saw on Facebook saying that
Hmm.
you were going to be getting a letter in the mail. I knew he was bluffing because he only told me that he was going to sue me in a chat room. That's not an
Right.
official advisement. I think he was removed as soon as he made the comment. And
Exactly.
and um, and I knew then he was bluffing on in that moment because he made
Hmm.
those Rumble videos because it weakens his case because he's now
Exactly.
defamed all of us. He's
Right.
insinuated that we are criminaling and we are part of a criminal syndicate and we are communal narcissists and all that. So
I
yeah,
don't
just
have
back.
time to be a syndicate or a communal narcissist. I'm
But
too
I'm
poop.
tired. I got a
Yeah,
bad back.
I'm too tired for that.
My
No.
my criminaling days are behind me.
Well, here's the thing that I know about you, and just to let everybody else know, um, when they did do a background check on you, they found out that you were telling the truth about yourself, and that should really worry anybody that's trying to defame you or bring you down because you are who you say you are. And your record is spotless, it's impeccable, and you can't say the same about Chris. Now again, I can't get into the man's mind. However, that phone call to the attorney from his attorney slash PI, that would concern me, because what could he, there's nothing he can do to you, so what is he trying to do, you
Well,
know?
yeah,
And
is
it's
this
just
just
it worries me.
hollow threats, or
Yeah.
or are they willing to go further in order to, to get me?
Hmm.
So I am being proactive. I want it out on the record. My home now has, I have cameras everywhere.
Good.
I've warned all my neighbors. I've talked to the association. They will be. This place is heavily policed. There are $1 million houses all over the place. I'm between the ocean and the intercoastal. This place is heavily protected. So I want to let everybody know in advance. I've been told that if there's a PI on this, I learned that they can do some less than scrupulous things to
For
try
sure.
to do
Mhm.
things. So I'm just being preemptive and proactive. By the way, in terms of doxing, I've not been doxed in the sense of I'm yet to be aware that my name or address has been published in a way that you guys can see it, but I
Mhm.
know that they have found out my name and address.
Right.
I know that Mizelle Martin knows my name and my location. She gave Chris my lawyer's contact information, thinking that that was not a problem. I mean, she should have known better.
Yeah.
Um, Certainly, if I'm being charitable, that's poor judgment.
Mhm.
It puts me at risk, given what you should have known and what I tried to warn her about
Right.
regarding this thing. She knew about what she called a long-time feud. I don't consider this a feud. None of these things are personal. This is
No.
intellectual. I'm making
Mhm.
arguments. Thank you, AK. So yeah. So thank you for coming and supporting me.
Well, absolutely.
Um,
And here's the thing, and I told you this earlier today. When I talked to Chris, when I thought we were friends, and he told me about being removed from the Michael Crowe case, the civil case, and I'm totally paraphrasing here. He said he was going to spend a significant amount of time making sure that people knew the truth about that case because people were spreading lies. And, the truth was he was, exonerated. He did nothing wrong. The judge said he did nothing wrong. He hardcore lied to me. There would be no reason in my brain to think, I better go check on that and see if he was reinstated in that lawsuit. No, but I'm telling you, he believed what he was telling me. He really
so
did.
so yeah. So there's a couple interesting elements there. One, you really do believe that he's convinced himself
Yes,
that he was
absolutely.
exonerated,
Hmm.
that he's blameless.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't even know what that means in the sense, is he just not acknowledging they paid out the settlements and that his name is associated with that civil litigation?
I think it's hard for all of us to comprehend somebody, the people. I'm going to talk in general. That there are people out there that can convince themselves of something that is absolutely not true, and you can sit there, you can show them the paperwork, you can show them everything, and they will just deny it. And it's worked so far for Chris. Nobody, went out and said that's not
Yeah.
true
I mean,
until
I've
you
often
came
said
along.
I
And
don't know it's true, but I have the impression that maybe having been behind a badge and a gun for,
Mhm.
years may give you the false illusion that sort of you're either invincible, or maybe you've just not had the experience of people challenging you because they're
There you go.
deferring and intimidated by that. So he straight up lied to you in that
Yeah.
case.
And again, I was convinced, and in fact, if I remember correctly, I said I'll help you
Yeah.
because I didn't want this misinformation being spread around, and I went and told people, yeah, Chris was exonerated. Because people will bring up, well, what about Michael Crowe? Well, he was exonerated. Here's what the judge said. Blah blah blah. Because again, now I've gotten to a different level of mistrust because of this. If anybody ever tells me anything again, I'm double checking everything.
And in your video, you also announced that you were removing him as a specialist or an expert
A verified
on your
source,
website, a verified source on your
right.
website, because he
And
had
what
been in good standing and a contributing
oh,
member of that community.
yeah, we had thread after thread after thread discussing what Chris had told us about the Summer Wells case. And so I removed all of those discussion threads on websleuths.com. I thought, I don't know what's true and what's not.
And he
And
threatened to sue you for defamation for this.
later it was yeah, you got to take this down, blah blah blah. So anyway, what I did the other day was, he found a glove when he went out to the house where the Moscow, Idaho kids were murdered, and he found a glove. Now, there's a great YouTuber, at least from what I've seen. Uh, it's called the YouTube channel is called The Mob, I believe, And this guy took a video. He took a news reporter who was standing exactly in the place where Chris found the glove. Okay, and this was the day of the murders, and they're reporting. And he blew up where the area was where the glove was found, and then he overlapped the picture of the glove to show that it was the exact area it was found. It was not there the day of the murder. I am not in any way suggesting that Chris planted it, not at all, because to me it looks like a technician's
after the
glove.
fact.
Yeah,
Right.
it looks like somebody just threw it down.
Indeed, because I'm also I've never insinuated he's planted it.
Right.
Do I think he was possibly thinking from an opportunistic perspective that this was good
Absolutely.
content, self-glorifying? I do sincerely believe that.
Exactly. And I don't believe for 1 second that he will follow up with, well, hey, look at this this content that was put out there. Obviously, the glove wasn't there the day of the murder, so it didn't have anything to do with it. But yeah, I mean, and he knows that the media is just desperate for anything. But what bothers me, what really bothers me, is the people in the mainstream media that put him up on a pedestal as a trusted law enforcement source. Now, anybody can believe what they want, but I know he has lied. I know what he has lied about. He has lied about Nomadic Trek. That poor man, he pulled him out of obscurity and made him Brian Laundrie. He's lied to me on several things. He, again, left that name Jamie Wilson. And in my video, he said Jamie Wilson, and he indicated that Jamie had done some things in connection with the Summer Wells case that led people to believe that he had something to do with her disappearance. When he found out that he made a mistake and said the wrong name, he never contacted me. He let me keep that up there for 4 months. And Jamie was, horribly harassed.
Until you somehow came upon my video.
Well, yeah,
and
you're
made
the
aware
one
of
that
it.
said, and I'll never forget this. You said something about us, how Amy and I were looking at Chris with goo-goo eyes, and we were, because we believed him. And then when that happened, I'm like, oh my God, I was devastated. I can't tell you how devastated I was when I
I
found the
so
job.
commend you. You did not need to do that. You could have just not said anything. You
Oh,
would have not had consequences. It would not have been a problem, but you courageously, not only did you feel obvious, clear compassion for Jamie. I saw tears in your eyes that were
oh, I
not
was.
feigned. You
No,
contacted him. I think he very much appreciated it. But then you went further, and this is where I really had, respect for you. You then were willing to go a bit further and then also call him out on the Nomadic Trek and refer to the private conversation where he lied to you about the Stephanie Crowe case, and
mhm,
then also, removed him from you and just like owned it like a boss. I mean, that this should be we can all be wrong, people. We make mistakes. If you're out there every night making live content, you're gonna have a
mess up.
bad day. You're gonna get
Mhm,
a fact wrong. You're gonna say something wrong, and own it. People appreciate it when you do that, but
exactly.
we're so afraid to do that, and I just think it's really commendable, and please, admire that.
Well, thank you, and that means a lot coming from you. It really does. And I do want to correct one thing. I literally didn't have a choice because I could not have put my head down on my pillow if I would have let that continue. And that's why I was so absolutely my breath was knocked out of me. I was so appalled at the obvious lying that was going on. And now he's on Ashley Banfield. I think he's been on Nancy Grace. And it's like,
Yeah, I made a comment on News Nation the other
yeah,
night. I said, vet your guests.
yes,
Vet your
exactly.
guests. This is
Yeah.
bad for your brand.
Right.
Before I forget, I sorry to, because I
No.
definitely want to hear more from you, but in the context of lying, and because AK is in the room, and I know we discussed it, and you have information.
Yeah.
He also lied to his associate, Mazel Martin. So he told her, because when I first contacted her and we had our first good faith conversation, I was trying to give her a heads up to be
Hmm.
careful, since she was associated now with the ColdCase Foundation and therefore Chris McDonough, that she might need to look into the Stephanie Crowe case and also the AKRox and Jamie Wilson. I said, and she said she was, mistrustful of the internet. And I said,
Mhm.
you're right. That's a good attitude. Don't trust
Very good
me.
attitude.
Don't
Yeah.
listen to what I say. Corroborate it yourself. I gave her your video instead of mine. I said, if you want to watch my videos, that's fine,
Mhm.
but go watch Tricia's. And she came back and said, wow, my eyes are open. Now I need to be careful. And she was uncomfortable, but she thanked me. She said, thank you for what you do. And she said, and I'm going to follow your channel. Then, unfortunately, afterwards, I made another video on
It
graphology,
just all
but,
went to
but,
hell.
but we're now trying to again find a meeting of the minds in good faith
Right.
again. But not only so he then told her when she confronted him about the Stephanie Crowe about the Nomadic Trek case.
Mhm.
He says that he made a simple mistake using the word confirmation. Okay,
You know,
that's a complete mischaracterization. What happened?
oh my God.
This was a consistent and serial insinuation, and then straight up accusation, which
Absolutely.
accelerated over the course of 3 or 4 videos. Was then also confirmed with his Twitter post that I have
Especially
in my
Twitter.
video, where he
Right.
not only says he has the confirmed video, confirmed Brian Laundrie is Nomadic Trek, and then he
Mhm.
went to Twitter and he posted checkmate, Nomadic Trek.
Right.
I
Right.
got you. The 3-letter agencies are coming to your house. He lied to her about by trying to basically oversimplify it by claiming that he had just made the mistake of using the word confirmation. That's
No.
that's dishonest. I mean, that's a lie as far as I'm concerned. But more than that, he also then she told me today that when she confronted him about AKRox, he told her he does not know AKRox. AKRox is in
Oh,
my
no,
room
no.
now. He
Oh my
told
God.
he told her that he does not know who AKRox is. Look at my video. He accused AKRox, who I know his real name. I didn't show his name in my video in order to protect his family, who have already been terrorized, his wife and his kid and him. Um, he he accused him of having child pornography on his computer. He claimed that he knew his shoe size and he knew where he lived. He named the city where AKRox lives, and then on YouTube, sorry, on Twitter, he doxed AKRox and gave his real name, and then continued to post tweet after tweet suggesting that AK was guilty of heinous crimes. So AK, you're still in the room. I want you to know that he told Mazel Martin that he did not know you. And now, please, Tricia, you know the detail about that.
Oh, Chris called me directly and said, I saw a guy in your chat the other night, AKRox, and I need to warn you about him. He is a bad guy. And he told me that he had child porn. He was a bad guy. Don't let him in my chat. That he had threatened his that not Chris hadn't threatened him, that AK had threatened Chris and his family, and that basically that the cops were gonna get him. They were gonna get him soon, and not to let him in my chat. But he was very clear. AKRox is a bad guy. He's got child porn. Keep him out of your chat. I've got to warn you. You're my friend. Blah, blah.
AK says I've been doxxed and swatted
Yeah, there you go.
because of this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too. Sometimes it just takes a person that people have a misguided admiration for to act on their behalf without letting them know. You know what I mean? You could have somebody that's unbalanced seeing Chris say these things and think, well, I'm going to help him. I'm going to do this. But yeah, he was absolutely adamant about what a bad guy AKRox was and to keep him out of my chat. And yeah, no, so that's a complete lie.
AK's not silent about this, and he
Yeah.
speaks in superlatives when he speaks about the guy. And the other night I
Mhm.
had him up, and he was very passionate. But he's been uh, honest about the fact that he was physically abused as a child, and that he has his own mental health issues as well as TBI, and having been accused with a wife and kid of having child pornography is something that rightly you can be pretty upset about. I
Oh,
mean,
it
you
can.
can't accuse somebody of so excuse me, but saying fuck you a million times to the person who falsely accused me of having child porn is nothing relative to the accusation.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I mean, it's just like one of the worst things you can accuse somebody. And how do you disprove a negative? You know, do you unload your computer and take pictures and hire expert? No. Somebody says something like that to you and spreads that information. Oh my God.
Now AK claims, and again, he's been honest, or I wouldn't bring this up. He claims that he has physical evidence that Chris McDonough hacked his Google account, which is a felony.
Yeah, it is.
Now I cannot confirm that. I cannot speak authoritatively on the legal basis of that. But he claims that, and he claims that he still has the window of opportunity for 7 years in terms of the statutory window, but that he has chosen not to do that because he doesn't want to destroy the man's life. I'm going to take him at his word, but I do not know that, and I try to be really careful about what I can claim to know and what I'm willing to say. AK has said that, and that's his position.
Well, more power to him, because I don't know if I could be close to being that kind, you know. Yeah, and I don't know what happened, how this started with Chris and AKRox. I don't have any idea what happened.
I mean, he might know a little bit better, but my impression has been that I think that there was a bit of competition on the Barry Morphew case. AK had a long interview with Morphew. He was there helping do searches and things like that. He's been that's a labor of love for him. He really seems completely dedicated to getting justice for, I'm sorry, what's her name? Suzanne Morphew. That most of his channel revolves around that case. And Chris showed up, I believe, again, like the superhero to solve the case. And he had hyped up a big interview, from what I understand, with Barry Morphew that turned out to be a nothing burger because Barry hung up on him after a couple minutes, or
there was
something to that effect.
It was a hang-up call, you know.
So I don't know exactly what the impetus for the conflict was, but my intuitions tell me this was a bit of alpha male competition or something. But again, I'm not going to claim to know the origin.
Right. And again, look how easily he lied. And and the thing is, I think you're right. I think when you're a police officer, you're not used to being challenged.
Yeah.
And now he's being challenged, and it makes him angry.
And like I said, again, I mean, it's so disproportionate, the response.
Yes, I
So
know.
if we don't like each other, we call each other horrible names. We say, fuck you, and the ship you sailed in on, the horse you sailed in on, and take a long walk over a short pier, and all those lovely, all the possible iterations or permutations of that. And you move on. And if you want to make little petty videos against each other and tit for tat, within the limits, so be it. But you don't go in real life, and you certainly do not resort to accusing some, especially in this true crime community. These people are potential lynch mobs everywhere.
Anyway, right, exactly.
And they're already afraid and being convinced by the QAnon cult and the other conspiracy theorists that there are child traffickers everywhere. And then you call somebody a pedo. That's about the worst thing. And I just got called by Enchanted Life Path, another lunatic that I've exposed. I got called twice a pedo sympathizer this week. And this is perfectly okay for this space.
Yeah, exactly. And it is so wrong and so disproportionate. But AKRox, to do that to somebody like him with his background is, I don't know, unforgivable. But he lied, said he didn't know, and because I think he's probably you do what you know. And he's probably gotten away with it. Nobody challenges him. And now,
and then I think the ego, becomes less and less capable than maybe of ever hearing any criticism. So the impression I've gotten is that we are all peons in his presence. All of us are lesser than. And the other thing, I brought up is, calling us criminaling given his association with Doug Hutton
I know.
and Josh from the lab and Tiffany Marie and AB, these people have been literally arrested
I
on
know.
TV in the in these cases. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. You just can't. Two things I want to point out. Oh God, I just lost my train of thought. What were
Uh-oh,
we
I'm
talking
sorry.
about? No, that's okay. It was something I needed. Oh, yeah. I think on the same phone call about AKRox, I think it was the same call. He said, "You know Gray Hughes, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, Gray's a good guy." And he goes, he's always on me. He said, "Can you tell him to please just lay off?" And I'm paraphrasing. And I went, well, what's he saying? And he didn't really go into it. He just says he just keeps harping on me. Just tell him to please just lay off. And I said, and I didn't say anything. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to call and say, "Lay off, Chris." I mean, Gray knows what he's doing. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And then
I don't know. Do you know Tracy from Chasing Truth?
yeah.
I don't know if Gray or Tracy would like to come up. I'm sure you'd love to have them on board too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Have a round table.
That would be great.
If you guys would like to come up, let me know and I'll drop an anchor. So please, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is about those Rumble videos, what they found about me was I have a mentally unstable woman that has been stalking me for 10 years. And it's because I exposed her lies about her daughter. Her daughter committed suicide. She wasn't murdered. She even was part of a Paul Holes. He was the guy that got the Golden State Killer. Paul Holes TV series called Murder, Suicide, or Accident. And Paul Holes basically handed her rear end on a silver platter, saying, "You've lied about your daughter, the husband too. You've lied. She wasn't murdered. You accuse these people." But she has it out for me, I think, because I was the first one that did it, or one of the first. And so she has all of these posts up on her private Facebook page about all these horrible things that I've done. And it's just made up. It's just, it's just crazy talk.
Right.
Well, they found it, and that's what they put in this video on Rumble about me. They've taken this mentally ill woman who won't leave me alone, and there's nothing I can do because she's not threatening me. She's just lying about me, and unless I want to hire a lawyer for thousands and thousands of dollars, I've just got to let it go. But everybody knows that she's just not all there.
It just sort of comes with the territory. If you're a public figure, you have to be a bit more tolerant.